Hey, what's up, Internet? In this video, I'm going to be complaining about stuff that other real estate agents do that annoy me. Hey, what's up, Internet? In this video, I am going to give you 5 things that you should be making sure your real estate agent is doing for your listing today. Just on the other side of this sweet intro. Jake Lyons here. How can I help? All right, as you just read, if this is our first time meeting, my name is Jake Lyons. I am a realtor here in the Chicago area with Berkshire Hathaway, owner of the ChicagoHomesource.com and the Jake Lyons Realtor YouTube channel, where my main mission here is just to give my viewers the tools to make the most well-informed, data-driven decisions they possibly can. In this video, like I said, I am talking about the 5 things that your real estate agent should be doing today to give your property the best chance possible to sell. And these are 5 sort of more non-obvious things. I'm going to kind of go into the background a little bit of just some inside baseball stuff on being a real estate agent. So right now, my personal business is skewed pretty heavily towards working with buyers and investors. A lot of agents out there don't even like working with buyers and investors at all. They're listing heavy agents, and I think over time some of them may have gotten a little complacent and aren't quite doing all the things necessary to get your property out there and in front of the most eyes possible and in front of the eyes who arguably matter the most. So we're going to get into that a little bit. The first, actually, I want to mention 2 things because, these are 5 sort of, like I said, more non-obvious things. The first 2 big obvious things that if you do these things right, you're already halfway there, is getting the pricing right and getting your pictures right. If you're overpriced and if you have crappy pictures, you're not going to sell your place more than likely unless, I should never say never. I mean, stuff happens all the time, but, those 2 account for at least half your marketing. If you're priced right, somebody will find you, you'll probably sell. And if if you have nice professional pictures done, you have floor plans done, that kind of thing, you're giving the people what they want in terms of that. You have somebody coming in who actually understands angles, lighting, maybe some Matterport stuff going on, some 3D, especially, I'm recording this video in the middle of a pandemic where, 3D tours and video and all that kind of stuff is so important. And if you don't have that, you're really behind, behind however the saying goes, behind the 8 ball. Is it behind the 8 ball or ahead of the 8 ball? Something about an 8 ball. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say. So anyway, so pricing, pictures, get those 2 right. That's 50% right there. I'm going to talk about the other 50% and 5 things that your agent should be doing to make sure that 50% is taken care of. So in this first one, what we're going to be getting into is using showing time. A lot of you probably don't know what showing time is. I'm going to have to get off of here and move over to my desktop to show you. But yeah, I'll just do that right now, actually. Okay, so all right, and I should probably, before I get into anything, just point out that I am coming from the perspective of a real estate agent in Chicago. I belong to the MRED Association of Realtors. So, if you're watching this somewhere else, they might not have showing time per se. I'm sure if they don't have showing time, I'm sure they have something else that's similar. All showing time is a scheduling software. It's plugged right into the MLS. And as an agent is going through the listing sheets via the MLS, on the bottom of a listing sheet is going to be the showing directions. So whenever you're asking your real estate agent, hey, can you schedule this showing? Here's how that agent is doing it. He or she is going to the listing, going down to the bottom of that listing, and then down there it says, what the instructions to request a showing are. Most of the time, it's going to say to schedule through showing time, and this is what showing time is. So, as an example, I'm using a listing that my teammate Joe Schiller has, 3139 North Francisco Avenue. You guys should go check it out. Nice 4-unit rehab opportunity. Anyway, so here's how this would work. You just click on the link right there through the listing. Come down here, schedule a single showing, and then I've got a couple other things in here. This is my calendar, and then you just, like any other scheduling software you've ever seen, this is just what this looks like. You pick the time that you want, and some of it will be blocked out. The nice thing is the seller, you in this situation, also have access to this. You also see what's going on. You see what's coming in, what's getting accepted. You might have some input if you're still living there or something like that, and you only have a certain amount of time. You need to give some time to leave the house before people come in, that kind of thing. It's just, there's just no good reason not to use this software, but people don't all the time. And the reason why that's a problem is, okay, so I've had situations where I'm scheduling, 10 to 12. Matter of fact, I'm gonna hop. You've seen what showing time is. I'm gonna hop back off here. Okay, so the reason why it's such a big deal, and why it's especially a big deal to somebody like me, a buyer's agent, most of the time a buyer's agent, at least at this stage in my career, is that it is it's very common for me to have a day where I'm taking a buyer out for 4, 6, 8, 10 showings in a day. I've had my all-time record. This might be the all-time record in the history of Chicago. I don't actually know if it's possible to have more showings than this in one day. If anybody out there knows of more than 22 showings in one day, let me know. That's the most I've ever heard of, and that's my personal all-time record. So 22 showings in one day. I'm going through and I'm scheduling all these showings, and if I have to keep track of, okay, so 10 of these showings were on showing time, but the other 10 were like various mixes of the agent saying, you have to email me to coordinate, you have to text me to coordinate, you have to call me to coordinate. The listing agent has the right to set this up however they want. And I think if the seller knew just how much more of a pain it was for everyone else to schedule showings, I don't think there's any way that they would allow anything but showing time. So that's my personal opinion, and that's why I think that every listing agent should be using showing time. Off to number 2. All right, for this one, this is going to be a twofer. I'm just going to go ahead and talk about numbers 2 and 3 here, which I think are both important enough to have their own separate points. So the second point that I want to talk about is having a fully maximized listing sheet. So what I'm talking about here is all of this stuff here. So you would be surprised at, and I'm not going to pick on anybody, so I'm just going to show a good one. And this isn't my listing. This isn't even anybody from my company, because I'm just here to educate. I'm not trying to be promotional. I found a really good listing, and I thought this would be a good example. So this is from Deborah Hess at Compass. So Deborah Hess at Compass, congratulations. This is a fantastic listing. This is how it should be done every single time. So this is for a condo, and you see the interior property features are fully everything that would apply probably are filled out. The exterior, you got the balcony deck, patio, storm decks, kitchen, everything that's probably in the kitchen, all the appliances. What does the assessment come with? What do the HOA fees cover? What amenities are in the building? You would be surprised at just how empty some of the data in these sheets can be. I mean, they even have the flooring in each separate room. They even have the window treatments for each room. This is just a fantastic sheet. And the reason why this is so important is because, okay, going back to being an agent for a buyer is going to tell me what their important criteria is. I'm going to go to the MLS and I'm going to make an automatic search for them based on the criteria they tell me. If they tell me that, let's just use this. If they tell me that they are looking for a condo that specifically has hardwood floors, a balcony, and has west exposure, that means that they're looking westward. Maybe they want a city view, whatever the case may be. Let's just say that those are the things that they want. I'm going to go into the MLS and I'm going to make an automatic search based on those criteria. If the criteria in these listings is missing, then my client isn't going to see that listing. So you see the problem here. Not putting this data in just shows a fundamental misunderstanding of how people are searching for properties. According to the National Association of Realtors, in 2020, 88% of buyers bought their home through a real estate agent. So if you're not making your listing as approachable and as findable for the real estate agent as possible, you're not getting it in front of the eyes that it needs to be in front of, and that's just the bottom line. So that's why, really filling this out. If there is criteria to fill out, it must be filled out to the absolute max according to the specifications of that property. No ifs, ands, or buts. I don't care how long it takes to sit down there and plug in the data. It has to be done. I cannot overemphasize just how important this is. So great job with this one. I wish every listing sheet looked this way, and especially I work with a lot of investors looking for multi-unit properties, and the multi-unit space is just notorious for just a lot of just really sketchy looking listings out there. Nobody ever puts the square footage for the specific units, or all of these will just be empty. It's just a kind of a wild west out there when it comes to that. And so anyway, I always appreciate a nice, well laid out listing sheet. And point 3 that I'm going to get to while I'm on here, also a fantastic job, is this right here, having, if I can get that out of the way, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. The remarks section. So in the MLS, it's called remarks, but you'll just understand it as the description of the property. A lot of times you see a description. I've seen just the crappiest descriptions you can think of, just straight up 2-bedroom condo, Lincoln Park, come see it. You see stuff like that, and it boggles your mind that anybody could. I mean, it's reprehensible, really. I just don't understand how you don't just sit there and just think for 10 minutes about some good stuff to say about this listing. It's do you want to sell it or not? This is a really good one. This has a lot of keywords, a lot of things that people are going to be looking for. It's obviously, we all know it's not all MLS searches, right? People are going through the Zillows, the Redfins, the ChicagoHomeSource.coms, and they're going through and they're reading these descriptions, or they're plugging in things or whatever, and keywords are important, or even things popping up in Google. There's not a ton of that going on because search engines take a while for things to kind of catch up. But anyway, that's too technical for now. But keywords are important, and people care about this stuff. They want to know, like, what are the grocery stores in the area? What are the restaurants? What are the specifics? Granite countertops. People want that, and people want to know about that kind of stuff. And so having a well laid out, long. Don't be afraid of it being too long, because you never know what somebody's searching for. You can never have too much information on a sheet. I've actually heard people. I've heard intelligent people, like intelligent real estate agents out there, people who do very well, say things like, I don't want to put too much information on there because, I want to give them just enough so that they come in and see it for themselves. And again, that's just showing a fundamental misunderstanding of how people search for properties in the 2020s, in general. Really not even that, like in the 2000s. So, yeah, so that's point 2 and 3. I think I've covered enough on that. Just fill out your listings and have a good description. That's it. On to step 4, or number 4. All right, number 4 is, we've been talking about so much of the things going on in the digital space, but I'm going to bring it back into the physical reality of the real world. And so number 4 is actually going to be having some kind of physical, tangible handout that the buyer can leave with after a showing or an open house. So, you see, if you've seen, you might have seen like the nice kind of glossy magazine pamphlet looking things. It can be that if the budget allows for it, or whatever the case may be. It should be that. I mean, those are nice. Those are very nice. I would argue maybe don't make it so big that it's just cumbersome, but there's kind of a happy medium between a few pages and like a whole catalog. I don't think anybody really needs that, but something tangible that somebody can leave with in their hands or put in their bag and walk away with, I think goes a really long way. And it can be as little as, I would say it should be more than just a listing sheet. You go to a lot of open houses and showings and things, and they just have like a stack of listing sheets like the one I just showed you. I think that's a little tacky, because your odds are the buyer's going there with a real estate agent, and the real estate agent is just going to say, I have this information already. We don't need it. What I've seen work pretty well though is having having that listing sheet printed out, and then maybe on the back having just some more information that's not listed on the listing sheet. Maybe some more specifics as to the ages of the mechanicals and the roof and whatever the case, whatever it is. Just something that's that maybe just there wasn't quite a space for it in the listing sheet, didn't make it into the description for whatever reason. Whatever. So just something to walk home with, because like I said, going back to my story about the 22 showings. Let's say half of those showings at the end of one day of 22 showings or 10 showings even, it's all a blur. You don't remember the specifics of anything you saw anymore. So the only way you're really going to remember is if the real estate agent themselves was memorable, which almost brings you to a sub point. I should have made this another point, but I didn't. Is real estate agents show up to the showings. I mean, I know there's a time and a place for a lockbox, and you can't make it to all the showings, but man, if you can, make it there. That goes a long way, because people want to ask questions and interact, and you go a long way towards making your listing memorable, right? When you're there. Anyway, I'm not even that's a bonus point. So what I'm talking about here is, if you don't have something to go home with, you might not remember it later, because everything else that you saw that you don't have something to walk home with is just going to be a part of the blur. And just, what was that one again? Was that the one? Oh, was that the one with the the eat-in kitchen, or was that the one with the whatever? Like, was that the granite countertops or the quartz? Whatever it is, I don't know, but yeah. So handouts are important. Handouts are good. Do not underestimate the power of a good handout. That's point 4. Moving on to point 5 right now. All right, the 5th and final point that I want to talk about is having an actually effective open house. So there's kind of a debate within the real estate agent community of, is the open house dead? And this is kind of a weird time to be talking about open houses in the middle of a pandemic and things look weird, things look different, and et cetera, et cetera. This is all assuming, optimistic that we're going to get out of this and we're just going to move past that. So with that caveat aside, talking about open houses, if it is true that the open house is dead, the open house is dead because the real estate agent killed it. The real estate agent killed the open house by not giving it the proper attention it deserves, and honestly by being lazy. At this point, I think there's really only 3 reasons, not only, but I think there's 3 main reasons why open houses, why they go on at all. 1A is because the real estate agent thinks that the seller wants it, and 1B is that the real estate agent is trying to appease the seller and make it look like they're doing something. They're just looking busy. Point 2 would be to accumulate new buyer leads. So, if they happen to sell the place, then that's an added bonus. But it's actually, a lead finding, gathering sort of endeavor. And number 3 is to give the newer, younger agents in the office something to do, something to occupy their time and make them look busy. It doesn't have to be this way, though. If you go in on Wednesday or Thursday and you just do a search of like, hey, what are the open houses happening this weekend? You're not going to see any open houses, really, maybe a few. But if you go in on Friday, now all of a sudden you see a list of 100 open houses, hundreds of open houses that are happening Saturday and Sunday. So agents out there are giving people 1 or 2 days to prepare for an open house. They're just throwing it out there. It's an afterthought. There's so much more you can be doing with an open house. You can give it some time, invite people, send flyers out, send mailers out, there's a lot of powerful things that you can do with social media marketing. If the agent has a nice mailing list, a nice network of different buyers that are looking for this kind of thing, they can put that out there. I mean, a day or 2 isn't really enough time to do that kind of thing. And then once you're there, back in the day, an open house used to be a pretty big deal, right? You've heard the stories about you walk in and you smell the bread, you smell the cookies, there's wine, there's whatever. I mean, that stuff doesn't happen at all anymore. So the kind of the magic of the open houses is gone now. There's no prestige to it. There's no just thing to it anymore. And I think we could do a lot to bring some of those elements back. And the stats will show that not that many people buy the house that they end up buying because of an open house. But again, I think that this goes back to real estate agents over time have just gotten lazy with it and not, just haven't been putting the time in to make the open houses the best that they possibly can. So good open houses. That's the last little bit I had. I think this actually turned into 8 points, 8 things that you should be having your real estate agent do to give you the best chance to sell. So, you got 8 for the price of 5. That's a under promise, over deliver if I ever heard one. So I think that's as good a time as any to end this. If you liked what you saw, if you got some value out of this, please, regardless of where you're watching, I don't know what platform you're watching this on, but do the thing that indicates you liked it. Subscribe, like it, send me a comment. Somewhere around here, there should be, some links to some other stuff that I've done. If you want to schedule a consultation with me and talk about some of the things that I talked about or anything else, there's going to be some links to schedule a consultation with me, and et cetera, et cetera. So hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Goodbye.